The following is a production of cprundown.com. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts of this podcast are those of the individual and not of any affiliated companies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rundown on Fun, a weekly podcast covering the Six Flags Entertainment Corporation, the amusement industry, and everything to do with fun. Here are your hosts, Carsten Anderson, Evan Schultz, and Kyle Hu.
And we're back. Welcome to another episode on the Rundown on Fun, your weekly podcast where we cover Cedar Point, Six Flags news, and everything to do with fun. And yeah,
Kyle. I mean, wait.
I know I'm getting.
That was good. That was good. You finally got there.
I'm getting better. It only took me like how many seasons?
Episode 111.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, Kyle. I think he I listened to last week's episode and he promised of oh hey, by the way, I'm gonna make that episode.
Yeah, he did promise.
I'll be there. And then
he got sick. It's okay.
Sick. It's okay. It's going around. I get it.
Well, especially when you live in Orlando and you're just in a cesspool at all times.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, Evan, we do actually.
There's news.
There is some news.
News.
We will talk about the third quarter Six Flags earning report here just in a little bit. But let's do some quick hitters first. And Evan,
there's a lot of those too, surprisingly.
Yeah, Evan, we've got some brand new construction that everybody's gonna say Six Flags is closing and going bankrupt and tearing down the rides. Well, actually, no, they're actually putting money in right now, and certain parks are currently, building some stuff. You want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. So, when was that? August that Six Flags Over Texas announced Tormenta Rampaging Run, and
what's that?
Oh, sorry. That's their Giga dive coaster, 300 and something foot dive coaster.
Nice.
It's huge. It looks so cool.
It does.
It's breaking all the records.
Yeah.
Go back episodes if you want to hear all the actual details of the ride. But I think I'm still a little used to typical Six Flags construction timelines. Which is normally this isn't going to be ready till maybe 4th of July.
They're currently moving dirt around if it was past Six Flags.
Yeah, maybe they started tearing down trees here in November, but no. Tormenta Rampaging Run, and shout out to Jeffrey Siebert, who is now running both Over Texas and Fiesta Texas. Yeah, he's amazing. Not that he's actually building this himself, but they are. As of 2 days ago, when they put last update on Twitter, they are 190 feet up already. They've built 190 feet of the lift hill, which leaves 119 more feet to go. But not only that, they've also got the brake run done. They've got the station done. They've got the curve coming out of the station done. So they are hauling on this thing. This is more on pace of I'm thinking back to when Valraven was built. It's right on pace.
I would assume, yeah, because I remember right around Christmas time or so. I remember because I was watching the webcams back. Well, obviously I watch the webcams all the time, but when I think they said something about you should watch the webcams within the next few days. There might be a surprise,
or whatever.
And they topped it off. But what was crazy is because you see Valraven and you see it's only got just a few supports. What they had to do is they had to rent a giant crane that could lift all of the giant top piece,
giant motor,
and the giant motor and the turn and everything that they had to do until they got to the next support. They had to lift that all the way up, and then they also had to make sure that there was another crane because it had to hold, I think, one of the track pieces also with the support that's going up, and it had to support all of that weight. And then you had to have another crane of for a basket and for the workers to be able to go up that high and make sure everything is all aligned and put the bolts in and stuff. There was a three crane operation.
Get this. I actually found an article from when it was topped off.
Okay.
It was topped off on December 22nd, 2015.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So, Six Flags Over Texas is well on pace to get this thing open
by May.
They should.
Yeah,
they should. So that's awesome. So
that is good.
To them.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Then, that's that. But then also a long rumored new coaster that apparently was canceled or just they stopped working on it. Suddenly, overnight,
Yeah,
magic happened. Santa came early to Six Flags Magic Mountain.
yeah, right. I was gonna say, yeah, Six Flags Magic Mountain. I think they were like clearing trees, clearing areas and
And it
stuff.
just sat for like
and
months.
it kind of just paused and stuff. But there was pictures. I don't remember where I saw them, but I did see some like from a fan site or whatever where they were like, "Oh, hey, there's new tracks showing up at Six Flags Magic Mountain," and there was also
Our Mountain Thrill Park posted it on Twitter.
Oh,
or
okay.
Instagram.
Okay, and you can see new track pieces and some new coaster pieces and stuff and everything. So that's looks like that's obviously moving forward too. So that's a second coaster that'll be under construction. Maybe it'll open late in 2026. If not, I'm sure 2027. Which again, like I said it before, Evan said the update about Six Flags Over Texas, they're spending money. This isn't free. It's not just like, okay, we're going to work for free, Yeah. And then also Six Flags Great Adventure. We all know, they had a kind of a pretty rough year last year. And
yeah, can't sugarcoat that one.
So just a quick nugget. It sounds like when I was listening to the third quarter results, it says that they were talking about how we learned from our mistakes, and so I would assume that they learned from their mistakes of the crazy public backlash that they got when they didn't say, "Hey, by the way, we're closing King of Caw for the rest of its lifetime. Ride it now." I would assume that's what they meant by that, because that was
Look,
rough.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I don't want to rag on Six Flags Great Adventure because they're family now.
Yeah.
But did they really think that was going to go over well? Like,
yeah.
They could. It wouldn't. Would it have killed them to say, "Hey, we're closing this ride, and here's why"?
Well, and then also, I know a lot of people are like, "Well, Six Flags is all about making money and charging extra dollars for."
They didn't even make merchandise. So clearly
it's
not.
like they should have made, the last stand or something, or whatever, merchandise or whatever. And then also, I don't know, maybe I know they always do like a fundraiser for like a charity for the first rider auction or something like that or whatever. Maybe do a last ride. They could have made money for a charity, and then obviously a lot more people would have showed up to the park and spent. I don't know if that was
how much merchandise they would have sold if they would have put up and Green Lantern too.
Yeah.
If they would have said, here's what's happening. We're getting rid of these rides. They cost too much to run, and in Green Lantern's case, it sucks. And well, actually, in King of Caw's case too. But anyways, these rides are not good. They are so expensive to operate, and nobody really rides them.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get rid of them. Here's your last day to ride it. Here's a crap ton of merchandise. You can buy a piece of King of Caw for $456.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know there was a lot of missed opportunities. So hopefully they learned from their mistakes, and we won't see any crazy, coasters getting cut up in the off season. And it's like, well, here we go again.
This guy told me Gemini's closing this year, so
right? Yeah.
It's not.
No.
Twitter is.
And then I was going to say also, before I throw it back to you, Evan, I did get to go to Kings Island. I did go for that bonus weekend.
Oh yeah.
That last weekend. Oh, dude, let me just say, all of the ops and everything, phenomenal. The weather was absolutely, at least on the Saturday was absolutely like summer like. It was like 60 some degrees. It was perfect. Got to ride everything. And dun dun dun, Six Flags is also spending more money. You're hearing it, I guess, first on our podcast. That I think people posted about it on like Facebook pages and stuff. Is the Beast is getting a pretty big retract this off season. That's the reason why it wasn't open the bonus weekend, because they
got started right away.
They're like, I literally rode Windseeker, and I'm like riding around and stuff and everything, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my!
There's piece of the Beast just missing.
I was like, there's a giant chunk between the Beast, the second drop, and then going like it was pretty much like the second drop, pretty much where you would like hit the brakes. So I'm like, maybe we're gonna get rid of those brakes. Maybe those will be gone next year. I don't know. So yeah, huge shout out to Kings Island. That was fun. Like I said, park was busy, but It wasn't like, I think we bought a fast lane, so like we rode like 15 rides and stuff and everything. It was actually busy for fast lane too. Like they sold a bunch.
It was a lot of
but
season pass holders were probably there too. With their
there was a
all-season.
lot of people that I saw for like Cedar Point haunts, like stuff and everything. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
good. You know, people made the trip from, you know, northern Ohio, you know, Sandusky area and down, because it's only like a 3-hour drive. It's not too bad. And then next year, you know, around like March or April or something, you got the brand new Buc-ee's. If anyone's never been to Buc-ee's, make sure you experience it, because it's probably like 30 minutes or so away, I think, from Buc-ee's, from Kings Island. So yeah, it's fun. It's good stuff. But
yeah, we were joking, I think, on closing the weekend, that Kings Island bonus weekend was going to look like coaster stock. Just all the enthusiasts are down there.
Yeah, there was a lot.
And Cedar Point ride operators. And
yeah, there was.
all that stuff.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good to see. It was really, really good to see. So.
I don't mean to like jump around, but there was one thing I did want to mention with the Magic Mountain coaster.
Yeah.
Is that like stuff is on site, and it's got a cool color scheme. It's like the supports are like a charcoaly gray.
Ooh.
And
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then
the track is like not Millennium Blue. It's somewhere between Gatekeeper and Millennium in that color range. Yeah. It's really sharp, and that's going to look super good on the hillside there. So yeah, that's that. Anyways, so back to Kings Island now. We're all over the place, but that's okay. So you were there, of course. Obviously, Boo Blasters was not open. Because
that is correct.
And that's because they are building Phantom Theater. What is it? Phantom Theater? What's the full name?
It's Phantom Theater.
Oh man, I got to get this right. We can't. Oh my god, this is gonna bother me.
Oh my
Phantom
goodness.
Phantom Theater.
Something. If Kyle was here, that's his ride, man.
Opening Nightmare. There we go.
Okay.
Phantom Theater Opening Nightmare. Jesus. So that's been under construction. Of course, you can't see anything. It's indoors. But Kings Island posted just the other day a big update. And basically the update is that there's nothing in there anymore. They've gutted everything. All of Boo Blasters is gone. They kind of like walked through the ride a little bit in this update video. And they promised a bigger update next week, which is during IAPA. So probably be something at IAPA, probably like a scene from the ride or something they'll show. But on the walls, you could see that they had painted like in white paint, you know, in this empty room right here, it'll just say like kitchen or opening scene or whatever. So kind of gives you an idea of what's going to be in there. But yeah, so the update is that Phantom Theater is now a clean slate for them to start really building. And we'll see what else they share next week.
Yeah, I saw there was some of the cars that were literally, I think they were over where the big stage area is. Some
of the Boo Blasters cars or some of the new Phantom Theater cars?
The Boo Blaster cars. Yeah, I got a picture of those. I didn't post it on our Facebook page, but I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's cool. You could, you know,
you'd probably get people commenting, "You're a Cedar Point page, not a Kings Island page."
I know, but we're I mean, you know, there's sister parks, and you know.
Oh my god, I'll never forget the mistake we made when we sent Kyle to SeaWorld Media Day.
Oh god,
oh boy. Sorry, we're so off track here. But
yeah. They're like, wait, where's that ride at Cedar Point? Hey!
Oh my god, that was.
Hey, Harold, where's that ride at Cedar Point? We're like, it's not at Cedar Point. We said that it's got Six Flags. It's not a Six Flags park.
And Kyle literally introed it with, "Here I am at SeaWorld Orlando."
Yeah. So it was funny. It was good.
This is we're allowed to be a little off the rails on the podcast, I think.
Yeah,
as the Facebook page,
right? So
we love our fans, I promise.
We do. It's just the ones that are like
stupid.
They're mean. They're not nice. They're not nice when they ask. They're like, why are you at? That's not it, right? At Cedar Point. It's like, no, we
had people with the. It wasn't even like you just shared Cedar Point's Facebook post, but people were commenting about the Northern Lights. Like, that's fake. That's AI.
I know. Come
on.
Yeah. No, I got to see some really cool.
No, it's fake. It's AI. This is an old photo. Why are people just automatically doubting everything?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh man! All right, back on track.
Back on track.
You got something from Kings Island about
Yeah,
WinterFest.
so WinterFest obviously is starting, at Kings Island. It's going to be starting at November 28th, select days and obviously hours and whatnot. So that's going to be going on. We got sent a press release from Tony. Shout out to Tony because he, I believe, is in charge of Kings Island, which is pretty cool. So you'll probably see a little bit more stuff that we post about and everything that he decides to send us and whatever, and media stuff and everything. So, but anyway, so we've got, if you've never been to Kings Island Winterfest, it's fun. Like
it's so good.
There's a crap ton of lights. Like I'm talking like just an absolute craziness. And if you ever want to ice skate, like if you've been to Kings Island and you know that they got a giant, a fountain area in the front area, well, they turn that into a giant ice skating rink, which is really cool. On International Street.
Very cool to skate
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So they've got 13 live shows that will be that'll be on place. Yeah. 13 ride shows. Yeah. 13 live shows. And then also they're going to have I think within like those 13 ride shows and so on and so forth and whatever that you can do in the park, whatever. It has around like 100 attractions that you can check out. Like you could check out like obviously the ice skating, or they've got ice sculptures that they show off, and they've got like a giant 300-foot Eiffel Tower Christmas tree that's really cool with the LED bulbs and stuff, and they've it's not just like one color, like they've got cool designs, map designs on them and stuff. They also have like roller coasters that'll be open and rides. Like I'll just list off the rides. The Snoopy's Soapbox Racers, Grand Carousel, the Kings Island in Miami, Valley Railroad. Also, they are going to have Mystic Timbers, the Racer, Flight of Fear, which I believe turns into Flight of Cheer.
There you go.
And obviously a bunch of other different flat rides to highlight. And it's something to do. It's, I don't know. I want to say there's probably
you're riding roller coasters in Ohio in December.
Right. And also, I've ridden Mystic Timbers while there's giant snowflakes falling. Like I've literally recorded video in the station of Mystic Timbers. I'm like, they're still setting the trains and we're still riding this. So it was kind of crazy.
Mystic is, it is something else during WinterFest. That ride really comes to life during WinterFest.
Yeah, and then also, bring the family, bring the kids. Go get pictures with Santa. Like they're gonna have areas that you can take pictures with Santa, and it's really nice too because they have it done up in the gift shop where Diamondback is. And in that gift shop, they actually have a fireplace, which I'm sure they have it lit up and everything. So it's going to look really good for like photos for, with the kids with Santa and stuff and everything. They've got holiday, like you can decorate holiday cookies for an extra charge, obviously. But, that's cool.
Oh, my God. They don't give us cookies for free.
Also, kids can write letters to Santa. There's a post office that you can drop a letter to Santa. And stuff and everything like that.
There's a lot.
And yeah, there's also some really good treats. It says they've got some grilled pork chops with caramelized onion apple compote, holiday dinner fries, crispy fries topped with turkey, roasted mushrooms, white gravy. Like there's also like some kind of cranberry sauce they'll put on it. They've got shepherd's pie, a hearty beef with vegetable skimmer in rich stock topping with mashed potatoes. They've got peppermint brownie bark, bark brownie. And then they've got peppermint and also peppermint bark, traditional bread or gingerbread man cookies, and more. And there's also going to be like some different kind of cocktails, specialty cocktails, warm cider. They've got hot chocolate all over the park. So much fun. And then if you're thinking about, what am I going to do for New Year's Eve? They're going to be open on New Year's Eve. You can go check them out, and you go check out Kings Island's page for all the details and stuff and everything. And yeah, really quick though, there was a I got another Six Flags press release, like legit from Six Flags. And just to give you an idea, just a little bit more insight about WinterFest, this is all of Six Flags. It's not just Kings Island, but there's 14 parks and resorts that host winter celebrations. There's 633 entertainers that is hired for like live performances and shows company-wide. There's 90 coasters dashing through the sky. There's 2,745 live trees. That they're pretty much like they're string up, the trees and stuff and everything with the lights. There's 9,026 feet of ribbon that's used to decorate.
How do they calculate this crap?
I'm sure there's someone that's like, okay, they probably just order. They're like, all right, well, we need 9,000. Ribbon.
Poor intern had to type all this up.
You've got 1,100 artificial trees placed throughout the parks. You've got 25 million lights all around the parks and things like that. 204 kids rides and family rides. You've got, this is crazy, 486,130 decorations on trees, wreaths, and garlands.
Oh my God, guys.
You've got 260 party and events that'll be hosted. You've got 1,274 costumes that need to be tailored. You've got 46 stores that undergo a complete like transformation and turn it all Christmassy. Like you think it's like a regular gift shop and then it's, it's themed for like Christmas and stuff. And then the last one is they've got 473 miles of lights. That is enough to stretch from Dallas, Texas to Kansas City, Missouri. So crazy stuff.
Wow.
It is,
and I do not envy whoever had to figure all that out.
Right.
Jeez,
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then just going right
and
on.
And they say Six Flags doesn't spend money.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, people just overlook things like that and stuff. But anyway, so there is moving on. I will be at WinterFest at Kings Island. I believe it's going to be December 6th. I will be there. If you're going to be there, say hi. I might have maybe a sticker or two with me. We will be selling. We'll be selling calendars, obviously, at the Great Ohio Coaster Club party that will be down south. If you want more information about that, go to their website. Go check them out. There's really cool like speakers that'll be there. We'll find out maybe some more new information about Cedar Point and Kings Island and other maybe Six Flags parks and stuff. They do a really good job. It's like you dress up, put like an ugly sweater on or whatever you want. And just kind of celebrate the holidays, and you get to eat some food, and you get to, learn some new stuff about what's coming in 2026 to some of the parks. You can buy a brand new CP Rundown 2026 calendar, or I remember, Evan, I told you I was not going to say anything on the Facebook page until we're about to sell about the nighttime only calendar that we're going to sell, and the podcast listeners, if they've been listening, they know that's coming too. Hopefully that'll be done. Hopefully this weekend or so. I just need to shore up some things with that, and then people will be able to start ordering them. Or if you want it cheaper at the holiday party, come check it out. And then after the holiday party, they've got a giant, it's really close to Kings Island. So anybody that wants to go to Kings Island right after the holiday party, go check that out. So, but yeah, go check that out on their page. But Evan, you want to? So last week we talked about how we were going to talk about, the Six Flags earning call, and
yeah, this is the big news.
yeah. And
yes.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little depressed about what I heard. I did listen to the conference call and tried to get as much nitty gritty stuff and try to figure out like behind the tea leaves of what's going on and stuff. Unfortunately, they missed their mark on Q3 and stuff and everything, but it does. So a lot of the people were like sounding doom and gloom. And before we get into this and everything, I just think us as a fan base, first, you need to support your local park. If your local park's Six Flags Over Texas, go to Six Flags Over Texas. Tell friends to go to Six Flags Over Texas. If your local park is, I don't know, Michigan's Adventure, hey, tell your friends, go to Michigan's Adventure. Support your local park, because who knows how long those local parks and things like that might come around because there might be some restructuring. And then before we jump into it again really quick, I really think that if Six Flags and Cedar Fair did not merge, I think Six Flags as a whole before Cedar Fair would have probably went bankrupt, and we probably would have lost at least 15, maybe 20 of their parks just gone. And so I feel like with them joining up with Cedar Fair, they were able to at least, ride the lifeline a little longer for specific parks and stuff. But yeah, support your local park.
Except Six Flags America.
Right. Well, the land was nice and profitable. But Evan, you want to talk a little bit more about?
Yeah. So I guess jumping off of that part of things, the big quote that's been going around the internet like absolute wildfire was it Zimmerman that said this? Quote, getting portfolio smaller is the priority.
Yeah.
He didn't say how. He didn't say we're closing parks. He didn't say we're selling parks. He left it ambiguous. So we're kind of left to guess a lot on that. But I've been thinking about it a lot, and I think when going back to when they first merged, right? Mm-hmm. You, me, and Kyle sat here and talked about it for probably 2 hours that night. And my thing was I was very afraid for Six Flags America because it's a saturated market. Well, I was right. But looking at the rest of the portfolio, especially once California's Great America is closed, which that's pre-merger, that was happening regardless of the merger, there's not a lot of parks that are in saturated markets. So that Dorney's the only one that's like, Great Adventure is there, and Hershey's there, and Knoebels is there. But to me, that means like if I'm wanting to sell or get rid of a park, we'll just say get rid of a park. I feel like a park like Valley Fair, Frontier City, the random standalone water parks, like there's one in Phoenix that's a Six Flags Hurricane Harbor in Phoenix. I feel like they're going to end up selling those parks to other operators that will keep the parks open rather than close them. It doesn't seem like any of these parks are on hugely profitable land that they'll just close them and sell them back to what property developers.
Yeah,
it seems parks that are on expensive land like that are doing really well. Knott's Berry Farm, Canada's Wonderland. Parks that are they're on kind of crappy pieces of land like Valley Fair. I'm not saying Valley Fair is closing or getting sold. I'm not saying that's a rumor. This Valley Fair comes to mind because it's easy to pick on. Shakopee, Minnesota is not a desirable land location. They're not going to get a ton of money for that. What they might get is a good chunk of change to a Hershend Entertainment, who clearly wants to be buying parks, or a Gene Staples, or a Premier Parks, or something like that want to just buy it and operate it because it's a nice little park and it's it's not doing terribly.
And also there might not be as much like, because now Six Flags, they've got all these parks and this big overhead and stuff and everything, so like they could be wanting to say, I'm just spitballing, but it could be like they want to make 10% flat, say, money on each park, right? And some of those parks probably, some of the parks probably exceed the 10%, and then other the parks they maybe they're maybe at 2, 3, 4, 5, and that would be fine for like a Gene Staples or a Hershend or things like that, to where they're like, hey, they're making money, they're breaking even, or at least making just a little bit of money. But I don't think it's the money that Six Flags is, because they've got a lot of debt. They do. Six Flags / Cedar Fair, when they merged, there was a lot of debt. There's like $5 billion or something in debt. So they need to get that down. And so they're trying to speed up the process and really enhance all of these parks and put the quote unquote Cedar Fair charm on them, and beautify them and make them as in, one entity, to where it's like, okay, cool. That park, 10%, boom, we're good. Let's keep moving and keep rolling, to where they're putting out these new things or doing these new prices or things like that. They're rolling that stuff out, and it's not working at the parks that are on the lower grade, because it's like, oh, well, that park's not going to be doing as well, and so on and so forth. Because they did talk about how that they're going to classify their really good parks as their core parks, and they're going to start investing heavily into those core parks. So a little nugget of information. We didn't share this on the podcast or anything because it actually says that you're not supposed to share this kind of information, but the surveys that went out. So if you got one of the surveys or you saw one of the surveys that were posted online and stuff, that would be probably a good tea leaf to be like, oh, did my park get a... Now, I'm not saying that that's 100% true, but I'm saying that if your park got a survey for like what's, what could we add that would be fun in 2026
you're
and beyond?
probably safe.
You're probably in a good spot, at least currently right now. I mean, obviously things could change and, I'm just like, for instance, like Cedar Point,
you're screwed.
For instance, Cedar Point could just be like, okay, we're ripping down Millennium Forest, Steel Vengeance, and Top Thrill, and then obviously attendance is going to decline like tenfold, and then it'd be like, I think
Six Flags Great Adventure might know something about that.
right. But again, they said they're learning from their mistakes, But yeah, I would agree with you, Evan. I would agree. And I think that they're looking for higher profited and higher, percentage of parks that are like that.
I just don't see where it's going to be so much more profitable to just close these parks. I feel like I don't think a lot of parks or any more parks are going to close.
Well, either that or, the Grim Reaper, maybe they have to do, if things don't turn around like they're wanting to, they might have to file for bankruptcy. And then if that happens, then I could definitely see just parks just randomly closing just because.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I don't see it either. I really don't.
I think if any parks do end up just closing, I think it's these standalone water parks. Six Flags, Hurricane Harbor, Rockford. Six Flags, Hurricane Harbor, Phoenix.
What about the Schlitterbahn parks? Are those doing okay? Like the old Schlitterbahn parks? It's like don't really
like why do we have those? Sell those.
Right. If we're looking for,
that was a weird acquisition, anyways.
So yeah, maybe they could sell those parks. I don't know.
And I'm sorry to anybody who's got a season pass to Hurricane Harbor, Phoenix, but like,
right.
Just close it. Like that park can't be that profitable.
Or maybe again, we don't know any of this, but maybe the water parks are their golden cow.
Maybe I don't know. Because water parks, you don't need to keep investing in. People are going to come back all the time because it's hot out and they want to splash.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't deep down think that any parks are truly in trouble. We knew Six Flags America has been in trouble forever. We knew about California's Great America, and that had been kind of written on the wall for years and years, pretty much since that football stadium was built. So after that, it's hard to see where it's like, and they're not going to just close a park just for the sake of closing the park. If there's somebody out there that wants to buy and operate a park, they will sell it. It's off their hands, it's off their hands. And if they're
I'm sure Dean Staples is like, please let me have one of your quote unquote non-core parks. Cause he's like, all I have is,
Niagara amusement park.
There's more than that, but yeah.
But it's hard to believe that if they want to sell Six Flags St. Louis, that nobody would want to buy it. Like,
right.
Now Six Flags America, that's in a very, very tough market because King's Dominion's right down the road. Busch Gardens is just a little bit more right down the road. Hershey's not far. Dorney's not far. Knoebels isn't far. So, okay, that makes sense. But if Frontier City went up for sale, sure, there's no other parks around there. Let's I'm going to buy that. Sure. So let's pump the brakes on freaking out about closing parks. And also, they did acknowledge, and you mentioned this too, that they know that they kind of screwed up with they didn't say the haunt passes, but they meant the haunt passes, that they moved too fast and too far on pricing changes. So parks like Dorney, Carowinds, I think to some extent, although when Kyle was there, it was super busy. Maybe Valley Fair, parks that we weren't used to charging for haunt passes that ended up rolling back on that at the end of the season. Worlds of Fun. Those parks clearly they were hurt by that, but the company is aware of that, and they're not just going to be like, they had a terrible haunt season, we're closing. Right. They're aware of these. They're aware of their screw up here.
Yeah, and they also were talking about a little bit about how they throw out a ton of surveys. I know I got a bunch of surveys. Evan, you got some surveys.
I got the Kings Island one.
And so they're talk about how they throw a bunch of surveys out and they try to get guest feedback, and they really take that to heart and stuff and everything. So yeah, if there was a lot of guest feedback that was like, we really hate this, that, you know, you're charging for something like that, maybe I don't know, they'll be like, oh, hey, by the way, you know, maybe they'll get Travis Kelce, because they were talking about how they're in talks with Travis Kelce on how they can, you know, possibly use his brand or use him maybe per se and elevate and say, hey, come check out the quote unquote the new Six Flags. You know,
he is totally going to be the next Mr. Six.
Where all of you know, all of the coasters are running 3 trains, and you know, it's just, there's brand new paint everywhere, and check out the new blah blah blah, and it's just like, you just have to think about that. So I think that if they're able to integrate him, and then maybe at the very end they'd be like, oh, by the way, remember those haunt passes you had to buy last year? That's free. And then you just get this real positive buzz, and you just you're like, okay, and you get that mojo back, and you get that feeling, and you're like, all right. So then the thing is that they talked about, they're like, when they get you at the park, obviously, you know, they want you to spend money and stuff. But the thing is like, is our guest satisfaction scores good enough to not have you revisit this year, but next year? Right. That's the key the key question, where it's like, And so, yeah, definitely they're definitely learning from, you know, their mistakes and stuff like that. I did want to touch a little bit about, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you know, it was crazy, you know, there was a decline in attendance and blah, blah, blah. And there was, but they did break this down, and they did say this decline in attendance, especially in the 5-week period ending until November 2nd. And that totaled 5.8 million guests, which was a decline from 11% over last October, 2024. But if you think about 2024, the weather, I know they were saying that the weather's not an excuse. We're not trying to use that as an excuse at all. We're just saying.
I do find it, and I'd have to look at the historical, but I feel like there's no way the weather was any better in 2024.
No, I remember the weather was actually better. There was a little bit of rainy parts per se ish. They were saying that the 2024 season in October, that for those 5 weeks leading up into November, was absolutely perfect. Perfect temperature. There wasn't any crazy winds. There wasn't any crazy rain. There wasn't the temperature, it was good. It wasn't super cold, whatever. So they were saying that if you want to compare if you go back just 1 year, and it's kind of almost identical weather pattern, they were saying, and it wasn't as perfect as 2024 was. If you go back to 2023, that same 5-week period or so, something like that, they were actually up. Attendance was up 20%. I'm sorry, there was a 7% increase in from this year's attendance.
To 2025.
Yes, 7% increase from 2023 to 2025, because they said that their last quarter, those last 5 weeks last year was absolutely record setting, and they didn't think that they were going to be able to I think they said something about they didn't think they were going to bridge that gap, but they thought they could get close, and obviously that was crazy on last year.
And think, okay, Cedar Point and Kings Island were beyond packed every weekend, but as they alluded to, they started charging for haunt attractions at Dorney, at Worlds of Fun, at Valley Fair, at Carowinds, at Kings Dominion, and it didn't work. So attendance early in the haunt season, no bueno, not good. I mean, I know Dorney was empty. So they said, oh, crap. And as I alluded to when we first talked about the haunt attractions, people voted with their feet, and they didn't show up.
Right.
Six Flags walked back on it. They said, oh, crap, our bad. Haunt attractions are free the rest of the year, and we're good. So I think if they hadn't charged for haunt attractions right from the beginning, they'd probably be even maybe not up from 2024, but not so down from 2024. It probably have been a lot closer.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, maybe some of the parks, maybe some of the big core parks that can withstand like,
nobody at Cedar Point cared. It was so busy and so
yeah,
crowded.
right. Yeah. Like Cedar Point was just jam slammed every time we would go and stuff. And I was like, oh, so hopefully, I mean, if they were underperforming, if that was an underperforming park, I will be super shocked, but
I'm
Cedar Point's
curious,
got to be.
and we'll never know this. I don't even know if the Six Flags knows this, but I'm curious what Cedar Point's individual year to year attendance was. Was Cedar Point up versus 2024? Was it down? Was
Right.
it
Yeah. That's the
the
problem is they
same?
don't release like their park to park,
Because I feel like Cedar Point was. I mean, Cedar Point was insanely packed in 2024. I mean, there was Fridays where you couldn't even get in there
Yeah.
if you came in after work, and it didn't so
But
much
it was
happen
like that this year though, because Thursdays was crazy, and then
Thursday.
Fridays was
Yeah.
just like whoa, just like almost like a
But
Saturday.
in fairness, I didn't wait in an hour of traffic to get into the park at all this year. I did
Fair.
last year. So
I
I'm curious.
did a few times. I definitely did a few times.
Well,
But
you did.
also you got to remember that Cedar Point had obviously brand new Top Thrill 2, quote unquote, this year, and then also
Sure.
Siren's Curse that
Sure.
also added that too. So if people
And they
were
worked. And they
right.
worked.
They did, yeah. And then also they talked about how they launched their brand new website, and they wanted to obviously unified everything into a digital home that brings, which is crazy. They even said this. They had 15 different websites, all wherever. Like I think maybe Castaway Bay maybe had a different website, maybe a different program or something. So all 15 different websites literally just migrated to one, and now it's all.
And we said this last week. They look awesome. They did a great job with that.
Yeah, hopefully everybody check that out and stuff and everything. And they're also building a by year end or something or whatever. They're also doing a ticketing system platform where it will be able to possibly do like on demand stuff. Like I think maybe like on a Thursday it'll automatically be like, oh, $20 for tickets, boom, because it could possibly. I'm thinking it'll be able to see like probably. I'm just thinking outside. I think maybe the system will probably know what's going on with attendance trends, or say for instance it knows exactly there's 27,300 people at Cedar Point. Oh well, that's a good day to send. Hey, by the way, go buy a ticket or something for $30, so that way we can
Right.
You get more people into the park or something like that. Or if it's a really busy day, I'd be like, oh, full price. I don't know if that's how that's going to work. In my head, that's kind of like what I feel like it possibly might do. But yeah,
I can definitely say this because we aren't affiliated with Accesso at all. That they're the current ticketing company that both Six Flags and Cedar Fair used even prior to the merger. God, they suck. That is the worst ticketing system I've ever dealt with in my life. So getting away from that is a huge win regardless. And I feel like a lot of things you just mentioned, they should have been doing anyways. But
yeah,
so it's good to see that they're getting away from that. Holiday World come on year next, because I'm sick of having to like literally fight people to get Hollywood Nights tickets. But we're gonna keep using Accesso. They have a monopoly on the business. But
yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, because they said they're obviously going to be looking at core parks and non-core parks, and then non-core parks obviously will be put on more of the back burner, and they'll maybe get here and there a few little things, but they're not going to be spending millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
So that being said, if you are Cedar Point, Kings Island, Canada's Wonderland, Carowinds, Knott's Berry Farm, Magic Mountain, who else? Probably Great Adventure, I would say.
Six Flags over Texas, Fiesta Texas.
Yeah, you're in for a good few years.
Six Flags Great America.
Yeah, Great America. Yep.
Just, I mean, those are like your. They said it, but I feel like unless we're wrong, and we could be wrong, those feel like those could be the cores right there. Boom, right there.
Well, and think about those locations geographically. They all kind of circle the entire U.S. and Canada. They all kind of hit those parks on their own. Hit all the demographics, or not all the demographics, all the geographical locations of the country. Where like your Six Flags St. Louis kind of touches a little bit of everything, and they're just kind of in the middle, and Dorney doesn't really have its own area.
And then if
Discovery Kingdom, there's not a lot. There's like the middle parks that don't have a huge monopoly on their area.
And also, if you look at like just the stock market in general and look up the third quarter results, like United Parks, like the SeaWorld and Busch Parks, they didn't have a good quarter. Like a lot of the economy, everyone's kind of like pulling back and just being, more budget conscious and things like that. And same thing also with, we're recording on a Thursday night. I believe Disney, their attendance was down, I think 1%. Disney, the big mega Disney, whoa, and I guess I think their in-park spending was higher because they keep raising prices because.
Well, yeah, you have to buy their fast lane if you have any hope of riding literally anything. So.
And they did also touch on the CEO search. Says that they've got it narrowed down to like a few candidates, and the board members are like really going diligent with everything and so on and so forth. They haven't found one yet and stuff, but sounds like we're gonna get an announcement. I would assume before the end of the year.
Before the end of the year, yeah.
And say, oh hey, this is blah blah blah. I hope that they come. I hope it's not someone internal. I want someone brand new that's got like a crazy vision of saying, okay, we can turn this around. We can do this. We can literally turn this around. This $15 stock. This needs to be $40 stock. Like This is insane. How we've got all these properties. Maybe trim the fat a little bit and get rid of maybe a few parks. Hopefully those parks get sold off to other parks so they don't actually close. And, and just hit the ground running and just be like, okay, we're going to do, such and such pricing. And they said that they were happy with the season pass sales and things like that. Those were trending in a good direction and stuff. So that's good.
Man, if they weren't with those sales, that'd be dangerous.
And it's just, and like we said, like, they're obviously talking to, Travis Kelce and stuff or whatever. And, the CapEx, they're continuing to put money into, the parks and stuff and everything, going forward and stuff. Like we haven't heard anything from Cedar Point, for 2026. I don't think we're getting anything crazy. No. Maybe we get a flat ride. Maybe. No. I don't know.
No chance. I don't think we're getting anything.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll get something, or maybe we're going to save it for 2027. I don't. We'll save, because you got to think that
2 coasters in 2 years, 2 mega coasters in 2 years. No, we're not getting anything.
fair, but that coaster was already purchased long time ago. Not on Cedar Fair's balance sheet for Six Flags.
Yeah, I will say that Siren's Curse, there's no way that went against Cedar Point's capital. There's no way.
They're like, well, like we probably spent like $1 million to do like
Energylandia bought it. And Energylandia bought it. Six Flags Mexico got it at a discount, and Cedar Point paid for the theming. I
also just wonder. I'm like, I wonder if Six Flags Mexico or Energylandia is kicking themselves like, dang it, that looks like a fun coaster.
Well, I in Mexico's case, I know they are, because they wanted to build it. It was just some permitting and stuff ended up being but Energylandia, like, what are we doing, guys? Why didn't we build this ride? Yeah. Why didn't we build this ride?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Whatever. But I think that, long story short, on the earnings call, let's give it at least a few years. This was a full year finally of just Six Flags running Six Flags, like Cedar Fair running, Six Flags, whatever. So it was 1 year. Let's give it like a few years and then possibly see. I know that
at least just next year. Like,
yeah. That, and also it's like, you just got to give it time. And I know that they're trying to rapidly figure out what is core parks and what is non-core parks. And, if they can get rid of, like they did say, they're like, if we can get rid of such and such park that has crazy amounts of land prices or whatever, that that park will never be a 20 or 30% over budget of whatever they would be. But they're paying the 20 or 30% for the land. Well, obviously they probably want to sell it. But if they're only getting, scraps on whatever land, they'll probably just, they'll keep it, or long story short, maybe they would, keep something like that and then have the park like turn around or something like that, to where, well, we close the park, but we're going to move all the coasters and all the rides and things like that to save money, because steel prices are insanely pricey, and It's a lot cheaper for us to close the park down and move some of those coasters all around and retheme whatever. I'm just thinking outside my head a little bit. So
Yeah, I'm curious still if any happenings will happen with Six Flags America with both the land and the rides. I'm hoping we get announcements here semi soon of like, hey, this ride's moving to this park or whatever. But yeah, we'll see. So
yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
um,
But,
so all that fun stuff aside, I guess it's fun. I don't know. We next week we're gonna have another show. That'll be three
in a
weeks
row. Yeah.
It's pretty good. Because next week is the IAPA, what is that? International Amusement something, I don't know.
Well, it's IAPA.
For the Global Association for the Attractions Industry.
Nice.
Which is not what that okay, whatever. But anyway, so they have a big expo in Orlando every year. They have multiple expos across the country or across the world, but Orlando is always the big one. That's next week. That's always a fun time of year because any new rides that got announced, you're probably going to get better previews of them. Maybe a train or at least a lead car. I'm trying to think back. I think like Penguin Trek was there.
We got to see Top Thrill 2's train reveal there. Yeah.
Wild Mouse, I think, was there.
Yeah, they got to sit in the cheese car.
Yeah. They show off some fun stuff. So I'm thinking, in our case, in Six Flags' case, you got Tormenta. You might see a lead car. You might see, Kings Island is almost definitely going to show off something
from Sally. I'm assuming, yeah.
Phantom Theater in partnership with Sally Rides, whether it's a ride carriage or if it's a scene from the ride,
yeah,
or something. Kings Island's already hinted at that. What else? Just in general, the industry and other parks. I think next week we'll kind of get away from form and just talk about everything big that's happened at IAPA.
And hopefully we'll be able to have Kyle because I think he'll be going there, and I think Justin will be going there. So we'll have some pictures from the event for sure.
Yeah. It's a really fun event. It's a professional event. That's why. Well, you were there. So
suit and tie, baby. Not really.
Maybe
at least
not
a polo. Polo.
I'm trying to think. Like, Intamin's talking about showing off something, and that might be going to, I don't know, some random park that's not Six Flags, but we'll talk about it because it's IAPA and it's fun and it kind of gets a good taste in your mouth to start the off season. So that's what next week's episode will be.
Yeah.
And then Thanksgiving, and then shoot, it's time for Grinch and Santa, and then it's the New Year.
Yeah, and then we're just rolling right by, and hopefully by the time the New Year rolls around, we'll know when "quote unquote" opening day will be for some of the parks, Cedar Point, maybe Kings Island, maybe not, maybe we'll have to see, and then
I'm kind of surprised we don't have any opening days yet.
You know what? I just think that if we don't have any opening days yet, maybe they'll be like, oh, can we add this to the calendar? Can we do this? How about we open this day? How about we stay open this late? That's what I think in my head. Maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe they're just like, meh, we'll open when we open.
Maybe some certain Six Flags parks will actually stay open past like 7:00.
Yeah. And then also, I was going to say, Zamperla also teased at IAPA that they've got a new coaster that's going to be supposedly bigger or something than Top
Bigger
Thrill
in
2?
some way than Top Thrill 2, which I just don't. I think
curious.
It's going to be, if Top Thrill's ride length, like it's like 2,000 feet long or 2,500 feet long.
Yeah.
They're going to say, well, this ride's 3,000 feet long, and that makes it longer than the tallest coaster in the world.
Or maybe they're going to have a higher spike. Maybe they'll be like, oh, by the way, we can do a 600-foot spike.
I just don't see that happening. Granted,
and it's going to Dorney Park. What?
Yep. No, Michigan's Adventure. No, even more obscure. Frontier City.
There you go. Yeah, you're like, what? No. We Six Flags is making up for stealing Siren's Curse and putting it up at Cedar Point, but they decided to buy this giant coaster and putting it down at Six Flags in Mexico.
Yeah. I don't even know if we mentioned this, but like a while ago, Mexico announced a family boomerang coaster from Vekoma.
Maybe that'll be on display too. Yeah, you just never know because it's the whole entire convention center over there in Orlando, and I think it's like more than 2 or 3 football fields. It's massive.
huge.
It's massive.
And God, I'm so jealous. They if you're like one of the like bigwig members of IAPA, because that's like a membership club thing.
Yeah.
They have an after party every year, and this year it's at Epic Universe. They have Epic
Epic
completely bought out.
Universe.
For like
Nice.
4 hours. They have Epic bought out. I'm like, oh my God. Do I just buy the ticket? Like,
Yeah,
do I
I was
just
like,
spend $500 at Epic all to myself?
that would be pretty crazy. You
Pretty
could
much.
ride
Not all to
Stardust
myself,
Racer a lot.
Oh my God. You could ride Ministry a lot. I mean, and you could always ride Monster Chain a lot.
Right. Yeah.
God,
So,
I love that ride.
yeah. So,
Anyway,
sounds like we're gonna have an awesome episode next week, and Evan, let's close this out, and then hopefully we'll get Kyle next week.
yeah, hopefully.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rundown on Fun. Don't forget to follow us on social media for all the latest updates from Six Flags Entertainment. And remember, always be kind to your ride operators. See you soon.